What is up, everybody? And today we have a new build video going over an old build that I made earlier this season for now. I was waiting to redo this build until after we had the 30th anniversary event and the buff to arbalest, the main thing I was waiting for. Basically, the point of this build is to not care about match game because you can break every shield, not care about the champions because you can break all the champions with this build, and use sunspots because sunspots are pretty solid and have a primary with escalating damage and a lot of buffs to it. So let's just break this down piece by piece, starting with arbalest. Of course, before, when I originally did this, arbalest didn't have anti-barrier yet. We knew it was getting it, we just didn't know when. And now it has it, and it also has a catalyst, which gives it Genesis, meaning it's even better at breaking shields. So you can break barriers and shields and get ammo back, and apply Disruption Break, meaning your next headshot with arbalest is going to do more damage against that enemy. Alright, but what if I told you that wasn't even the most exciting change in this build?
Shut the fuck up! Know your fucking place, trash!
Yeah, I'll say it. The most exciting change of this build is a new legendary solar pulse rifle. Jurassic Green was okay. It's probably the worst of its archetype in PvP. BXR is the best of its archetype. Now, it's the only one in its archetype, but it's still an amazing pulse rifle for PvP and for PvE. Better than Jurassic Green at both. It does more damage than both. It's just better in every single way. It just fires a little slower, but that really doesn't matter with how much better it is. So the reason we need the solar pulse rifles, one, unstoppable pulse rifle, but also we're going to be using firewalker steps. If you don't remember the original, we use firewalker steps to increase our damage. And there's a lot of different roles of BXR that would help you here. You don't have to go for a damage perk since you're going to be running firewalkers, which increase your damage, and a lot of other things that do, that we'll get into a little bit more later. But BXR is amazing. It has blunt execution rounds, which are great. You punch an enemy and then you shoot, and it's like a 500% damage increase for that burst. Really good, really solid damage for a primary especially. So now that we have our primary and our special weapon out of the way, let's talk heavy here. There's a few different ways you could go with the heavy. You could go with an other half. I really like the other half. It doesn't drop for anyone, but you know, other than that, it's great. We have Crown Splitter, Throne Cleaver, whatever it's called now, I can't remember. But the aggressive frame sword that's only on Titan, it's amazing. Don't sleep on it. I think everyone knows how good it is. Zephyr, which is the Dawning Sword, is also really good. It's stasis, but it has Cold Steel, which slows enemies when you hit them, and when you're trying to overload enemies, that does help a lot, because sometimes Crown Splitter just doesn't work. So being able to slow them as you're trying to overload them would help a lot. Okay, so now let's talk about armor. Of course, first, let's talk about our exotic armor. I picked Firewalker Steps to increase the damage of my BXR, just gradually, because the more solar kills you get, the higher damage you deal. And also, if you get affected by stasis, it does the same thing, but we don't run into that too much in PvE. Other than that, main things we need to worry about are elemental well mods. Reason for that is just a little bit more energy regen, but also damage, a lot of damage. So grab elemental armaments and font of might to create wells with your battle rifle and to buff your battle rifle with those wells. I also run elemental ordnance and run thermite grenades because thermite grenades are really good, and getting wells from grenades is nice, especially with sunspots, which is what I'm using. I'm using sunspots right now. And other than that, it's kind of up to you. I personally went for elemental charge with high energy fire so that I can increase my damage just a little bit more. If you have teammates using powerful friends and things like that, it's not really as needed to have elemental charge or anything like that. It's just kind of up to you. Other things I did, I grabbed Withering Heat for my class item. You could also do particle deconstruction instead, but arbalest isn't great at applying it, so it would be better to have a teammate that had, say, a Cartesian or a Vex Mythoclast to apply your stacks of particle deconstruction. The next most important mod that you need are your 2 champion mods. You need Unstoppable Pulse and Overload Sword. You don't need an anti-barrier, arbalest has that for you, and you really don't need Thermoclastic or whatever it is that makes Overload Solar melee, because you already have a melee weapon as your Overload, and it's going to do a whole lot more damage than your fist. Yeah, you're using Withering Heat, but you know, it's still a little risky. Withering Heat's great. It applies a debuff to the champions that you hit with solar abilities. So your hammers will deal a lot more damage, your melee, your grenade, all that. So this build is pretty straightforward. Honestly, we're pretty much done with it. The rest of it is kind of up to you. I would highly suggest you run Linear Fusion Rifle, Reserves, and Scavenger, especially the 3-point Linear and Normal Fusion Scavenger, because it's 3 points and it's really nice to have. Hands-On is another great mod in our artifact this season, so that would be a nice one to pick up. But a lot of this build is up to you. I just suggest High Energy Fire paired with Font of Might and elemental armaments, and then the weapons that I'm using, arbalest, BXR, and then the sword is whatever you want with firewalker steps, and it just works really well. You get more and more damage on your primary over time. Arbalest is amazing at clearing out anything with a shield or a barrier, and you're set. I really like this Titan build. I don't know if it's my favorite, but for anything that isn't Commander Titan, yeah, this is probably my favorite build to run. It works, it's pretty fun. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Really quick before the video is over, I just wanted to say, hey, if you've made it this far, you should subscribe if you're not, especially with the notification bell on. Also, like this video, please comment down below. I also have a Twitter that should be in the pinned comment. There's also a Discord server. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. Hope you try this build out. It's a lot of fun, and see you next time.